Hey guys, welcome back. It's Michael Crawford here in Sydney. It's pouring of rain outside, so if there's a bit of background noise, the sound of rain, that's what that is. What I want to talk to you today about is sensor size and the way it influences the way a picture will look, the compression particularly of your subject, particularly if it's a person, which seems to be the major sort of focus for a lot of people. They're concerned that a full frame camera will give them better looking or more pleasing portraits than perhaps a Micro Four Thirds camera, for instance. And I believe that, well, I'm going to demonstrate it for you and then we'll get back and talk about it. I'll tell you my method for testing this. Basically, it was a very simple setup. I used my children as models, and I had a softbox with a flash. I had a light on the background, and I had them standing behind a glass brick wall. And what I did was I took a full frame camera, APS-C camera, and a Micro Four Thirds camera. The full frame camera had an 85mm f1.8, the APS-C had a 56 1.2, and the Micro Four Thirds had a 42.5mm f1.7 on it. Then I did a series of shots. The first group of photos were done all at f2, so all the settings are the same, the ISO, the f2, and the shutter speed. Then, of course, my models didn't move their distance from the background, so they kept the same distance from the background, even though they may have moved in the plane from the camera. They were still the same distance from the background. I was also the same distance from the model where I was standing. It's not an exact science. I didn't have like set up on a special rig keep the cameras exactly the same distance. Was done handheld, so it could be a few centimeters between them. I don't think that that's necessarily so significant with this sort of test. This is just to demonstrate the different type of look you may get if you use a different size sensor. Then I did all the lenses wide open at their maximum aperture, so the 85 at 1.8, the 56 at 1.2, and the 42.5 at 1.7. So what I'm doing is just to compare the way the subject is isolated from the background. Basically, I just want to demonstrate that, and if there's any sort of distortion with the face, something that's not as pleasing as another, I want you to be the judge. You can look at this and decide for yourself. I know in my mind what I think. Let's get into it and have a look at these. Okay, I hope you took your time and perhaps paused the video as you're watching those to make your own decision about what you think is the most pleasing setup for yourself. For me, I cannot see any difference in the way the subject has their face proportions or anything like that. Like, I don't think it distorts their face, compresses their face. I think that they all look exactly the same. I find that quite interesting. There is a lot of talk about how a full frame camera will compress more than perhaps a Micro Four Thirds, but I believe that when you use equivalent lenses on the cameras, they will have the same compression. All of them will have the same compression, and the image will be rendered in the same way. Of course, depth of field is another thing. Depth of field will change. The depth of field will be the most shallowest with the full frame camera, and then going up from there to APS-C next, and then the Micro Four Thirds. In saying that, I don't believe there was a huge amount of difference. I found it particularly interesting when I had the f2, all the lenses at f2 side by side, and you can see the amount of difference between the subject isolation and the way the bokeh is rendered in the background. I don't think it's such a huge big deal. Well, not for myself anyway. I know some people out there are absolutely mad about bokeh. They want that background to be absolutely annihilated. For myself, I don't believe that that's full-on necessity. I believe that if you're doing professional work and you take pictures of clients, they may actually want to see what's in the background. You usually go to an exotic location, and you know, you're paying money to get there, and you make the effort to go to somewhere nice. Why not show off a bit of that background beauty that you have in that photo? Why do you want to just annihilate it? So that's my train of thought, and I also believe that it's far more important to have the full subject in focus. What I'm talking about there is like from the nose to the back of the head in focus, not just like a sliver on their face, like one eye. I don't think that that is pleasing. I don't think many clients would be happy to get a photograph where just one eye or their eyelashes is in focus and the tip of their nose isn't, perhaps their teeth aren't in focus, their mouth. You know what I'm talking about. I don't believe that that is an appealing shot. I don't think that they came to you to get a shot of their eyeball. Now, some people might think that that's the epitome of portrait photography, but I really don't. That's just my little rant, my little point of view, and I hope that this was educational for you in helping you to decide what sort of camera that you might want to get. Obviously, there's big cost savings in getting a smaller format camera. The lenses are cheaper, the camera bodies are cheaper generally, and you know, there's money to be saved there. Not only that, after doing this test, I actually found that that 42.5mm lens on the Micro Four Thirds camera was the sharpest of them all. It's also the cheapest of them all. I bought that lens secondhand on eBay for $250 just recently, and it's probably one of the sharpest lenses I own, and it's really blowing my mind. You know, I've used a lot of lenses, and I always have a quick pixel peek when I'm editing my photos, and I know some of my sharpest lenses, one of them being this 35mm RF lens on the Canon camera. It's razor sharp, and another one being that lens, the 42.5 Panasonic 1.7, very sharp lens, surprisingly sharp, followed not far behind by the 85 1.8 Canon, which is surprisingly sharp, given that that's a reasonably priced lens. But anyway, this isn't a lens review. This is about sensor size and the way images are rendered. Hope it's helped you out a little bit. Have a great day. Catch you later. Bye.